Okay, today I'm in London with Director of Trading Director, for Pinnacle Bookmakers, Michael Blume. Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you
for agreeing to talk to us. Yeah, can we go into traders? What do traders do? What are they responsible for?
Well, it changed quite a lot during my lifetime in the industry. I would say if I go back maybe a decade or a decade and a half ago, traders were very, very instrumental for risk management, the games alone without any help from automation. Nowadays, there's a lot of automation, a lot of models going in. So traders have shifted again from the manual work more to working with the machines, with the automation to try to risk manage games that way. So it's still the same core job that they do, which is risk management. However, the tools of the trade have changed quite dramatically.
Okay, so what are they responsible for? I know it sounds like a simplistic question, but are they responsible for their own particular market? Or
no, at Pinnacle, we split the traders up into several groups, into the big sports, so football, American football, you have the esports, the tennis. These are all individual groups of traders, so you would have a bunch of traders assigned to each sport. And then on any given day, a trader gets assigned a few leagues with us. When you talk about live games, then you would have sometimes a one-to-one relationship, so one trader per one NBA game, and that's all they trade. In a specific game, however, the trader then trades all markets. So it wouldn't be that, we rarely have a trader responsible, let's say, for the first half markets and somebody for the game markets. It almost never happens.
Okay, so what qualifications are you looking for when you employ a Pinnacle trader?
So that's a question I've been asked 1,000 times. So obviously there is no formal training for being a trader. So what are good starting points for being a trader? A guy who likes punting, and that's certainly a good start. Someone who understands the betting markets. Math, statistics, something from that. We have had good success with hiring people who are avid game players. Might be chess, might be backgammon, might be any other game. People who like risk in some way, shape or form, who understand risk, who understand probability, who probably don't think so much in black and white, but more in a probabilistic space and understand, well, it's not 100% that a team has to win, it's 65% likely or it's 35% likely. So that's something we're looking forward in traders.
Okay, so you've risen to the top of your profession. What is your background?
My background is actually quite antithetical to sports betting. So when I came to sports betting, I've never ever placed a sports bet in my life. Neither have I visited a bookmaker. So I come from a background of playing a lot of games, board games, strategy games. And then I went into poker. So I played professional poker for a few years. I was with people probably now call it bonus hunter for casino online. So I did a lot of casino bonus hunting. So I always was in the gambling space, just never in the sports betting space. And I came to Pinnacle as a brand new guy off the street, but as somebody who understood game theory and game optimal plays quite well. And thus, I started Pinnacle and worked my way up.
Okay, so what made you gravitate to the bookmaking industry?
So friends of mine who played in the board games with me, on the trading card games, actually called a game called Magic the Gathering, they split up into a few groups. Some of them went into finance, Wall Street, some of them went into poker, and the third bunch went into sports betting. And they were doing quite sophisticated things, and Pinnacle got interested on doing something with them. And they were the ones who gave me the reference to Pinnacle. They said, there's a few smart guys in Germany. So a few of my friends and myself joined Pinnacle.
Okay, now I've always do my research on my interviewees, and I've got to say, listening to some of your interviews made my head spin a bit. Coding in R, analytics, all this is a bit difficult for the layman. How much of the market is generated by, is this how the markets are all formed these days?
No, the short answer is yes. That's the short answer. The punter is still there, and the knowledgeable punter still plays a big role, but the core of the market has to be formed by machines. And the reason is not so much that punters couldn't do it, it's mainly because they couldn't keep up with the sheer amount of games we offer. We offer up to the 4th, 5th division league in Brazil, 4th division league in Thailand, 3rd in Vietnam. How could we possibly have that many punters working for us? So you need some form of automation to help it. Punters play a big role in the high-level market. So if you talk about the NFL, the NBA, maybe the Barclays Premier League or whatever, like La Liga. information there is quite good, and models might not pick it up as fast.
Okay, so do you need to be able to write code, and do you do all that yourself, or is that something you've gone through and now risen above?
So myself, I taught myself how to write code just because of frustration. What happened is I wanted to do data science, what people now call data science or data analytics basically, and it always took way too long for me to ask somebody to do it for me. So eventually I got so frustrated that I went online, and took a course online and taught it to myself.
Okay, now you've already talked about risk management. You hear that a lot. Is that simply making sure you don't lose too much, or is there more to it than that?
I would say there a little bit more. I mean, not losing a lot is a good start, but I mean, and actually it's about maximizing equity or expected value, how we call it. It's the idea that nothing is black and white. There's always an underlying probability that A and B happens, and you try to shift the risk in a way that regardless of the outcome, you probably have a positive expectation.
Okay, now one of the things that you said in a previous interview was you cannot change the bets you've laid, only those that you're about to lay.
Yeah.
Can you go a bit more in depth into that?
Yeah, so traders, novice traders or even intermediate traders, have the tendency to dwell in the past. Maybe they just gotten a bet they don't like because they moved the line in a certain way. And I always try to tell them, well, that already happened. Nothing you're going to do is going to change what happened. The question is, where's the next wager going to be, and how do you get on top of your horse again? What I don't want traders to do is compounding on mistakes. Because something bad has happened, I'm now doing something even worse and even worse and even worse, and getting into a very bad spiral. I try to say, well, treat it as an empty slate. This is just the situation you're in, and try to move forward from that.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that rather than bet to an opinion, you are the best at keeping track of the markets?
Yes, I don't actually want my traders to have strong opinions on the game. If they would have strong opinions that would be worth a lot, they would probably be on the other side, probably be punting. So it's more about let's be market aware. Let's go with the market flow. Let's like an old trader who taught me the trade said, listen to the music. See what bets come in, see what the market does, and don't try to fight it. But if you see an opportunity to strike, capitalize on it.
Okay, so would you say that the Pinnacle closing line is near the absolutely true price that it's possible to get?
It's probably the best estimation that we have.
And how does it compare to the betting exchange, betting SPs?
So betting exchanges have a very efficient market. However, most of the time, the betting exchanges will follow the traditional bookmaking world like we do. So we are probably more influential on markets like Betfair or other exchanges than people realize. I mean, they usually move with markets like us moving.
Now, Pinnacle are like a mythical name for British punters because you've got a winner's welcome policy, and most successful gamblers in the UK probably they can't bet with you. So how can you buck the trend where other bookmakers close everybody down and you don't?
It's part of our business model, so it's inherently baked into who we are. The way that I describe it to other people is we pay for information. So it's very clearly, if you're a professional punter, per definition you're making money punting. That's the definition that I have for a professional punter. And I cannot change that because you have the choice to place a wager or not. However, what I can do, and what we do quite well, is work with the information that you present to me. So every information has a certain, every wager is information. And what we do is, if we get a professional punter in, places a wager, we try to then optimize the line and try to make money off the future wagers.
Okay, and I've got a few more questions about that later. I've heard you talk about that before, but you allow people to bet into huge figures, even in millions in cases, is that correct?
That is correct.
So you bet to low margins and high limits and let punters win. Does that make life a lot harder for the traders who don't have the blunt instrument option of just getting rid of the winning punters?
Yes, but that being said, is most of my traders never knew a different world. So it might be very, very hard if you come from the world of being able to stake factor or kick people out. This is never given in Pinnacle. From day zero, you come in and just say, well, this is the game. This is how it's being played. Try to play the game the best you can. So if you never have this big option of kicking people out, I think you have to live with the reality. It has forced our hands many times. So what can happen is that some punter finds an edge or something that exists and starts making a lot of money, and then all of a sudden it shifts our entire priority list. We now have to get our modeling team on top, our trading team on top, and say, okay, what is this punter doing? Why is he doing it? And how can we prevent it in the future?
Yeah, that's, you keep preempting my questions. The next question was going to be, how long a history of a punter do you need before their business is treated with the sort of respect that you've just described?
Very little, surprisingly, and that has to do with us being very market aware. So you try to understand exactly, okay, how does this bet play into the market? Does this bet make any sense? Is this a good bet? Is this a bad bet? Obviously, we don't get the sample size that we need to do traditional statistical analysis. Might be 10,000 wagers. Who's placing 10,000 wagers at one bookmaker? There's very few that actually do it. So it would take too long. So we're trying to take some of the wager information and see, okay, well, does this make sense? Is this the pattern that a good punter would have?
And would you have an idea about, if you got a new client, would you sort of do research and try and find out who they were?
No, that's not feasible in our world.
Okay, what percentage of your punters would be winners?
Would be winners?
No, what percentage of your punters are winners?
I don't know the figure.
And does the fact that they win mean that you still get far too much wrong, or is it all about the closing line?
It's more about the closing line. As I said, I mean, the information that professional punters have is not, I'm not privy to, right? They might have done like a tremendous amount of research on a specific league, maybe a second division league. They might know the players inside and out. I have 50, 60 sports that I offer. I cannot go in the depths that punters can go. Punters can specialize, can really research it, and I can't do it. So to me, it's not indicative of me doing something wrong. It's only the question is, how do I work with information in the most efficient way?
So would your Achilles heel be the lesser known sports, the lower down leagues?
In some ways, for sure. However, the limits and the over-round margin is adjusted for that. So while we would take a tremendous amount of wagers on a La Liga game, or an NBA game, or an NFL game with a very low margin, if you now go down the tier leagues, the over-round is increasing and the limits are reducing. So it's to make up for that factor. It's like a handicap in golf.